Hey everyone, welcome back to the lab. In this video, we're going to be comparing F# HTML DSLs for rendering long web pages, specifically benchmarking them to see which one is faster. So in this benchmark, we're going to be comparing Falco.Markup, Giraffe.ViewEngine, and Feliz.ViewEngine, which are a few of the more popular options for HTML DSLs for F#. So last year, I started building full stack web apps with F#. I found the DevX of using a single full stack monolith to be far superior to multi-monolith, even when that meant losing access to popular SPAs like React, Svelte, and Vue. Previously, I was doing a SvelteKit monolith on the front end with an F# monolith on the back end. But when I started diving into HTMX and realizing that you can really build these modern feeling web apps without having to resort to one of these like big clunky SPAs, I found that building apps with F#, HTMX, and HTML as a single monolith, particularly when mixed with like an HTML DSL, was quite good actually, and much nicer to write in. So that's what I started doing. Now there are several popular HTML DSLs to choose from in F#, and I've previously focused on just using Giraffe.ViewEngine as it performed well in my previous benchmarks and pairs well with F# Giraffe. Giraffe being the web framework that Giraffe.ViewEngine was basically built to complement. And I've been using Giraffe for several years in Cloud Seed, which is my F# project boilerplate, and basically how I'm building and starting most of my apps these days. But after I released those benchmarks, several F#ies requested over on Twitter some additional benchmarks comparing Giraffe.ViewEngine with other popular HTML DSLs. And so that's why we're here in this post. I'm comparing Giraffe.ViewEngine with Falco.Markup and Feliz.ViewEngine to see how they stack up together. Okay, so first let's talk about the benchmark setup so you can actually see what we're doing and see how these numbers actually make sense, what they're measuring. So first what we're going to be doing is we're building long and shallow pages. So what this means is basically just a very simple static HTML page. It's going to have a table in it. And then we're just going to be dynamically rendering some number of items between 10 and 5,000 items. And that's it. So this is going to be a very simple page. It's just going to be a very long page with a bunch of items in it. That's all we're doing in this benchmark. Some specifics, we're going to be using benchmark.net to benchmark because it's easy. So it's battle tested. People seem to trust it. So that's what we're using. And then we're going to be running this on a free Replit instance just because it's free, it's easy to use, and it's really easy for me to give everyone else the code so that you can review the benchmark, change it up, play with it yourself, add new ones, just much simpler to kind of use. And you can access the code and the benchmark here. I've got a link to the Replit. It's right here. It shows you how to run it like this in release mode so that benchmark.net doesn't yell at you. So that'll be available in the description for you to access yourself. All right, now let's look at the results. So here I've just graphed the results to kind of show you, make it a little bit easier to see how they compare. And so we got Falco.Markup in blue, we've got Giraffe.ViewEngine in red, and we've got Feliz.ViewEngine in yellow. And the y-axis is rendering time. And so, ideally we're going to be lower because that means we rendered those items faster than the other ones. And here on the x-axis, we've got the number of items. And so we can see, at the beginning at 0, they're about all the same. And then as we get larger, Feliz.ViewEngine gets way slower, but Giraffe.ViewEngine and Falco.Markup are about the same until we get to pretty large numbers of items in which they're, a little bit of a difference. Falco.Markup's a little bit faster, but they're about the same. And so this gives us, our overall results that Falco.Markup is going to be faster than Giraffe.ViewEngine, which is again going to be faster than Feliz.ViewEngine. Falco.Markup is about 5 to 10% faster than Giraffe. And both of these are about 5 times faster than Feliz. Now I do want to call out that the absolute difference in these is on the order of like 1 to 5 milliseconds. All the way up to 1,000 items, which is already a pretty good number of items to render in like a single list. And then it's up to tens of milliseconds, up to 5,000 items. So even for like very large lists, like you're probably not going to do 5,000 items in a single list, though, when you combine all the different interactive islands and stuff like that, maybe we'll get up to 5,000. But it's still only about like 20 to 30 milliseconds, which is still pretty fast for a page load. Of course, these numbers are going to change based on your own tech stack as well. And so here we've got the detailed results. I put them in a little graph. Hopefully you can see these. If not, this is available in my blog post, which will be linked below. And so here we've just got the number of items again. And then for each of the frameworks, I've got how long they took in milliseconds. And then for ease, I've just compared Falco and Giraffe because they were pretty similar, and those are the ones that I think are more interesting. Obviously, Feliz is a lot slower, so no need to show what percent that is. So these are the specific results, and then I've got screenshots of all of the benchmark.NET outputs for posterity, and so you can kind of see what Replit was running on in case you care about that. We were on .NET 7. Eventually Replit will get .NET 8 and I'll start using that, but until then I will just use the .NET 7 that they've got set up. And so these are all here in the post. You can find the link in the description if you want to look at these closer. Next. So overall, these are all pretty fast. Obviously, you need to benchmark this stuff with your own code on your own machines to see how it will actually perform in production. There's way too many variables to say like this is exactly what it's going to be like in your own environment. But I can say for a small machine like this running on the free Replit instance, these all perform pretty well. So I don't really have any major concerns of anyone using this in like production. That said, personally, I'd probably opt for Giraffe.ViewEngine or Falco.Markup, as they do seem to perform the best, magnitudes faster than Feliz, and in my opinion, they have a cleaner API. I didn't really like Feliz's mix of how you say attributes and how you say children and stuff like that. I felt it was a little bit clunky for what you're trying to do. I think Falco.Markup and Giraffe.ViewEngine have much better APIs for this, but that's probably a separate post. But for those reasons, I think I would mostly choose those. And I also just want to call out that like Giraffe and Falco are web frameworks, but the DSLs themselves are split out into a separate package, and these all render down to HTML strings, and so you can mix and match them as you want, so don't feel like you're locked in if you choose one and want to use a different web framework. Now, if you like this post, you might also like F# and Giraffe with HTMX using Giraffe.ViewEngine to kind of get a feel for what these HTML DSLs feel like using HTMX to build these modern feeling full stack server-side rendered apps. You might also be interested in why I'm moving from SvelteKit to F#, kind of why I don't think SPAs are the best way to build anymore, and what it kind of feels like the benefits I've seen from going to single monolith for multi. And then if you just want to get started with F# quickly, you can learn how to get set up with a full stack F# app in about 10 minutes using Cloudseed, my F# project boilerplate that I use to start all my projects. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.